Everyone, welcome to our very first episode of building a full task manager API from scratch. So by the end of this series, you have a full working backend that you can connect to any front end you want. So in today's lesson, it's just focused on getting everything set up. No database connection yet, just the bare minimum, our clean folder structure. So what are we going to cover today? We will know what Node.js is and why we use it for a backend, and how to install Node.js and initializing a project with npm in it. And also we will learn how to install Express with the npm install Express. Then you understand the recommended folder structure for creating such project. Then we will run our very first server to see if our setup is working nicely. And so first, what is even Node.js? Simply put, Node.js lets you run JavaScript outside a browser. Instead of clicking buttons on a web page, you are writing code that handles requests coming in from the internet. Then Express, on the other hand, is a lightweight framework that sits on top of Node and makes it much easier to create, route, and respond to those requests. Let's start. So if you want to install Node.js, you can go to nodejs.org, then you search for the install here, download, then you download it for your operating system, whether you are running Linux or Windows or Mac. The process is online, you can find it and install it. Now, once you have the Node.js installed, we have to also create a folder for our project. And so for this, I'm going to create this folder or a directory on my PC. I already have a I already have a folder structure. So I'm going to create a subfolder where I'll put everything in. So I'll create a folder and name it Task Manager. So whether you're using Mac or Windows, we all know how to create folders. So you can create a folder wherever you want, and then you open the folder in VS Code. So for mine, I will change directly to my Task Manager folder and then open it in VS Code. So now that we have our folder on our system, or open in a VS Code, we can open the terminal by clicking here, then new terminal. So the terminal is now open. So what we do, first and foremost, we run npm init.y. So this npm init.y, it is npm init.y rather. You don't add a run to it. So this npm init creates a package.json file. So you can think of it as the ID card for your project. And so after you've created the npm init or the package.json file, what can we do? We can also install our Express. So we run install npm install Express to add Express to our project. So now the Express that we've installed is going to help us to write our code, which will sit on top of the node. So once we are done, let's also install one more thing. And that is what npm install nodemon. This nodemon helps us to restart our server automatically when we make changes to our files in the project. We don't need to manually restart the server every time. So now that we are also done with the nodemon, what else do we have to talk about? We have to now create our folder structure. And so for the folder structure, the folder structure or the folders are one of the very few things that we as beginners skip, and later on we regret because our project becomes all messed up. And so these are the folders that we have. We have our route folder for defining our URL paths, a controllers folder for the logic behind each route, a middleware folder for things like authentication and error handling, a models folder for our MongoDB schemas, and a config folder for the database connections. So let's go ahead and create these folders. So how can you create a folder? When you come to this side, we have our folder button here, icon here. You click on it, and then we name our folder. We can name our first one the config. Then when we are done, we click on any white space here, and then create the next folder to which is what controllers. And also in your VS Code terminal, you can create the folder in that terminal. How by typing make dir, make directory, then the name of the folder. So I'm naming it model. I'm deleting it and creating it again. So I rather name it models. Yes, it's created. Then we also have one for route. So we can create the route folder here. Oops, sorry. We click on an empty space, then we create our routes folder here. Then another one, which is what? Our middleware folder. So now we have our folders intact, and we've explained what each folder will do once we move along and where to place every file that we create. And so one other thing that we can also do is to create our index.js or our server.js. This is the entry point to our app. So let's create that. Can do touch index.js. Okay, that is created. And now that we've created our index.js, let's write our first server. And so what do we have to do? We have to import, our Express framework into our server. Then we create an instance. the error that I got that said that nodemon, that command is not found because I need to install it globally. So let's install nodemon globally. Let's see if we can run it without facing any challenges. Supposed to be what 5,000. All right. To open our browser, so now it's working. So we can open our browser and type localhost, then semicolon, colon 5,000. Let's see. Yes, Task Manager API is running. So today we've been able to create our clean folder structure. Now we have the config, controllers, middleware, models, then route. And we've also created our first server by running it. So with this, we have our system working now. Which means that our app or project is ready to accept everything that we put in to make it look professional. So this wraps up our first episode. So now you have a project structure that professional developers actually use on the job. And in our next episode, we will learn how to connect our MongoDB to our database, MongoDB to our system, and also set up our first database model. So until then, keep on learning. See you in the next one. Thank you.